Welcome back to the 2023 FVC Summer Series. Round 2 this season at the Bahrain Grand Prix. 16 drivers currently join us. Bobby having a slight bit of problem. Hopefully that resolves itself before the race, but not caused us many problems in the past. There's another driver joining us, Harrison M for the McLaren team. First out on track is going to be the Alpine of Thunderbird, sitting in reserve for VNT Rosenquist this week. Also coming out is HP8 Gamer in the Alfa Romeo, as well as the McLaren of King, and one of the Haas drivers too. Indeed, this is Dorado. It is the same me. I sound different as I have a new, higher quality microphone, as we see Thunderbird spinning it around out of turn 4 almost immediately. Clearly getting used to the Alpine's driving style. Excuse us for one moment, the photo menu will come up as I adjust my things. Personally, I cannot quite see all of my notes. There we go. Shouldn't be any differences in audio for the onboards and stuff. All audio settings are the same as usual except for my own personal microphone. That is the only difference we have made. We also have the apparent joining of Lando Norris. I assure you that it's not the AI, that is actually just King. Since Thunderbird had the incident, let's head over to the Alfa Romeo of HP8, jumping on board for the first flying lap around the Bahrain circuit. Well, it may be 2 corners to finish at the lap. It is closer to a single one in these cars. Yellow flag coming out sector 1 for a Ferrari off Finnell going round, getting up really quickly. Looking hard for the first sections. Turns 1, 2 and 3 they come at you very fast. You need to be able to get the grip down. Turn 2 especially, because you can spin up very easily if you're not careful there. Booting it all the way down, second DRS zone all the way up to turn 4. This is the final corner in the sector where you start off in the middle. The middle sector is a lot harder than anything else in this sector. There's a lot of hard turns, including at turn 10. As we come around the first flying lap, let's remind ourselves of the previous pole positions. I actually cannot see my own graphic either. Hang on, let me move this over here. Apologies again. Season 5 went to Brady Pollard with 037, not here with us today, but Apex Miata in the previous Summer Series, who is driving the Haas team this season, did get the pole position there. The quality myself is not high enough, I can't see who is Season 4 there. If nobody could let me know who that is, I still need to make some adjustments. We are working on a different broadcast setup here. Purple first and middle sector is not a surprise for the first flying lap driver. HP80 is also a very quick driver in the Alfa Romeo team. Power down nicely, DRS wide open coming across the final line. 1:29.279 is the time to beat. Thunderbird goes second with a 1:29.8, not far off considering his mishap, getting used to that car very quickly. Up next is going to be the McLaren of King, setting a 1:31.384. Not where he wants to be, but he is definitely capable of doing better. As Azzy, a 1:29.004, takes the top spot for the Haas team. Trying to find anybody. It's a purple first sector for Finnell in the Ferrari. Just the Apex at 1:30.210 heading up into 4th, and Saskia with a 1:31.427. Finnell navigating turn 10 nicely, easy, the hardest turn on this circuit, sorry. Fast left-hander of turn 9 into immediate hard braking zone for the next corner. More times coming across the board. FE Pixels with a 1:30.853. La as well, not far off Azzy up at the top for the other Alfa Romeo, so 1:29.132 for him, as well as Broughton, who was chasing Azzy over in Australia. 1:29.221 for him. Lots of competition up at the top, but Azzy is still just that little bit further ahead than the rest of the field. It's not a surprise, he is a very quick driver. Yellow flags coming out in the final sector. I'm not quite sure why. That car is progressing nicely. Over the line goes Finnell, doesn't continue his purple first sector at 1:30.243. Not where he wants to be. Definitely capable of being higher. Unsurprising why King isn't setting very good times. The hard compound tyre, the least grippy of the three, you can see that by the white tyre around. Not the tyre you'll want to be qualifying on, but I can understand trying to save them for the main race. It could be a bit of a strategy call here for the McLaren team. However, we've seen from even testing as well as round one, sometimes you might not even make it to the first corner before your race comes to a close. Those dangers only get exacerbated the further you are down the midfield. Only really safe places are the very front and the very back. Two more drivers still set to set their first lap, WR Tristan being one of them who is on their out lap. Harrison M still in pit lane. A number of drivers getting their first laps out of the way quickly. Following along with Scarlett coming out, ending, oh, big spin, breaking the front wheel off for Scarlett, retiring. That is hugely unfortunate for her. 13th place at the highest, a 130.733. Head over on for the replay, watch what happened there. Live broadcast up on the left, the replay on the right. Just coming out, the ending really around turn 11. Spinning it round an exit, hitting into the right hand side wall, breaking everything off. Alpine were looking good, they were comfortable with their setups all through the previous few days of testing here. That wasn't broadcasted, however they were putting in a lot of work. WR Tristan, purple first sector for the AlphaTauri team. Heading on board for him for the rest of the lap. Middle sector, multiple hairpins, nearly 2 in a row. Power down nicely out of 8, get it set up perfectly for 9, hard braking into 10, get it, keep it into that left hand side, don't run too far over the curb so you could invalidate your lap very easily over the white line if you're not careful. Also got to be careful when the exit gets a little bit too ambitious. Rear end stepping a little bit out. Even with that mistake though, it's a purple middle sector. Tristan still going strong in the AlphaTauri, but nearly spins it again coming out the top of the circuit. Very quick thinking, getting the hands on that and getting it saved. And even like a little bit of locking up, hitting into the final two corners, the hard braking zone, one of the hardest on the tracks. Navigates it perfectly though. Now DRS wide open. Doesn't save it, obviously. Just a little bit too much, only a 130.053, even with that first and second sector. He knows though he can get up to the top. Also, Dorado, let me know if the audio is any better. I have moved the microphone closer to myself. You should be able to hear me. I can also turn my gain up at any point. Yellow's out for one of the Alfa Romeos, coming into bother along with an Aston Martin off the track there on the left hand side, as the Alfa is also off the track. Spinning around again goes Tristan. That car seems very unstable, very tail happy. Not what you want to have come the race. Borna Jordi making his way in as is D765, giving us a total of 19 cars with us so far. Any luck come the race time, one more car should be joining us. We have a full 20 grid, possibly for the first time ever starting in the league era of the FVC. Scarlett jumping into the chat saying this has suddenly become a last two question mark challenge. Indeed it has. You're still sitting there down in 14th. You still could get there at the complete best. However, as more people come in, there's this nearly stopped there Thunderbird in the other Alpine trying to possibly get a slipstream down the straight to start a lap, but you've already sacrificed it if you're at that last corner and stopped. Also falling down the grid a little bit is Apex. Was up at the front near the start of this session. Not quite close to teammate Azzy. Speaking of, it's even closer at the top now. 129.062 for Estrogen Impulse in the Mercedes. Impulse, a previous race winner and one of our stewards here, is a very experienced driver and a very quick one at that when he has his day. Definitely could be challenging Azzy up at the top, with everything permitting. Heading down the field a little bit. Apex coming to a close, one of the final laps. Stop coming from time, misses the Apex a little bit into the final corner of 14. DRS wide open, heading across the line, up to 7th with 1:29.671. Definitely an improvement, still 7/10 off his teammate though. Coming across to start the line is going to be D765. Let's head over to the Alfa Romeo though of HP8 at 1:29.279 to beat, finishing his second flying lap. Doesn't improve any, stays down in 5th. Yellow's one of the Aston Martins. OJ though, a 1:28.9, the first into the 28s for the Williams team. Ferrari of Finnell heading for another flying lap. One of the McLarens coming up to finish. It's going to be King up to 5th, a 1:29.1. It is getting very competitive up at the top. Not much time in it. Broughton's going to be the next across the line, challenging Azzy for the lead over Australia, heading into pit lane though, aborts that lap. Up next is going to be the Aston Martin of Saskia Mall. Broken front wing though, that's not going to be another lap heading. They're going to be straight into pit lane for her. Second Red Bull of Dorado looks to be the next car. We had one of the AlphaTauri there look to have another spin as we jumped on over to the Red Bull of Dorado. Yellow sector 3 for one of the Hasses up at the top of the circuit. Unsure on who that is. If I had to take a guess, I say I can just have a look. As he's in the pit, it's going to be Apex. Dorado 1:30.027. I'm getting a notification. I will read that in a second. Apex, low fuel mode coming across the line. Here comes D765 to complete his first lap. Immediately up at the top by 1:28.655 for the Mercedes driver. A huge margin up to the top. We've also had the second AlphaTauri of Curly join us in the session, making it 20 of 20 drivers will take the start of this Grand Prix. Finnell heads into second, another 1:28.8 for him. It's 3 drivers into the 28 marker. Azzy's going to have a little bit of work cut out to get up there, but I definitely think she can do it. Just needs to pull it out. Next up coming across the line is going to be Sam Baker. Very fast in his own right. Never mind, heading into pit lane, aborting that final lap. AlphaTauri of Tristan's going to be coming up next. Yellow sector 1 for a slow-moving Ferrari, heading into sector 2 almost. 1:30 to beat, doesn't improve, going for another lap by the looks of it. 5 minutes left in qualifying. A little bit of downtime, I must quickly respond to a message. We're having another commentator join us in the booth shortly. It's actually going to be VNT Rosenquist, the previous Alpine driver in round 1. Has to sitting out this round, but is going to be joining me in the commentary booth very shortly. Aston Martin of Pixels with an invalidated lap, not going to be making anything. Coming into pit lane, Harrison M now finishing up an out lap, going to be going for his first flying lap. Let's jump on board with him to see what he does. And actually disregard, never mind, Rosenquist will not be joining. The offer was denied from one of our admins. Heading through the first few corners, a little bit slow, but you're going to be slow through there, otherwise you can spin up the rear tyres very easily. Then, second DRS zone, all the way up to turn 4. It's one of these smaller hairpins. They get a little bit higher speed, it's also very wide, you've got to be careful with the throttle, and you could spin it very easily if you're not careful. Heading into sector 2, it's a purple first sector for the McLaren driver. Nicely through 5, 6, 7, and coming through 8. Gets in nicely, gets out nicely. Up next, hardest bit of the circuit, turns 9 and 10. Fast in, but very hard braking. Bit done, slight bit of tyre squealing, not hitting it, but runs it out. Just avoiding the curb a little bit, trying to keep off it to protect the tyres a little. Another DRS zone, and this miniature straight heading out of the second sector. There's a yellow flag for one of the Red Bulls has spun around. Coming up fast at the Red Bull, thankfully being off the road. It's a purple middle sector for the McLaren, going fastest of anyone now. Coming into the final sector, it's all straight lines. She's got to get that perfect exit out of turn 11, I think that is. Nope, back to 13. Then down to 14, gets it in nicely. 15 on the power early. Barely even a corner in these cars. The DRS wide open, coming across the line. From 18th, no time, up into 7th, just losing it a little for that final sector. A 1:29.139. very, very close from 4th downwards, all the way to about 10th. Midfield is going to be very close indeed. Coming across another flying lap as well is going to be King in the second McLaren. A 129, 189 to beat, headed across the line, doesn't improve, stays 9th. Here comes one of the Alpines now, of Thunderbird, as Tristan retires from the session in pit lane. Thunderbird being down in 14th award, 129.882. Next up to cross the line is going to be Broughton. Unsure if he's completing a lap. It might have finished one previously, but it's a purple middle sector for the Red Bull driver. Currently sat all the way down in 10th. He definitely can move up. A very fast driver, race winner, and even FVC2 champion, graduating up to the main series not that long ago. Two drivers still yet to set a lap. However, they're going to be having to head out soon if they want to get it. Early 7 is already out. Broughton moves up into second with a 128.699. The final runs are coming up shortly. Heading down to the Mercedes of D765, doesn't improve, stays up at the top. The Aston Martin is going to be up next. Not quite sure of who that is going to be for Pixels. Coming across the line, a 138.5 to beat, doesn't go up any. McLaren duo has already set their flying laps, so they're going to be having to head in. That is their qualifying more than likely done. But up next is going to be Thunderbird again, unless he's heading in too. Also a little bit lacking is going to be the Alfa Romeos. Multiple drivers coming out to their out laps. Borna Jordi's not going to be able to set a lap. King goes fastest, a 128.467, even further up at the front of the field now. Thunderbird a 129.2. Up next is going to be the Alpha of Blah. 129, 132 to beat, doesn't go up. That's going to be his qualifying over unless this is his next flying lap. Trying to jump around anywhere in the field. HP8 and 129.279 to beat. He's definitely capable of going faster than 12th position. Possibly going to be starting another flying lap for him. Up next is going to be the Red Bull, I think. Or no, it's Williams, my bad. Not quite sure. Too many cars to track to keep the track of. I can't jump to anybody in particular, but if there's anyone you want to see for their final attempts, let me know. That's going to be everyone scrambling out. The dirty air is going to be very prominent throughout most of these corners from most drivers. Yellows through the final bit. One car heading into pit lane, boarding their final runs. The Mercedes is going to be the final car over the line, so let's head over to the Aston Martin of Pixels. Going to be the first one to complete qualifying and take the flag. 17th place, not where he wants to be, all the way down there at 130, but moves up to 16th, just above Scarlett with a 130.1. Next up, it's going to be the McLaren duo. King already setting a lap. Don't expect him to go much quicker, but Harrison M could go up a little bit more from 9th to 129, 139 to beat. There's not much time to get up to Blah. He can definitely pull that time out. Heading over the line, moves up to 3rd, a 128.625 for him. King's going to be the next over, but heads into pit lane. Up next is going to be the Alfa Romeo of Blah for 51.69 and 129, 132 to beat. He can definitely go faster than that. He's a very quick driver. Getting around the final corner nicely, coming across the line, setting 128.767. HP8 Gamer retires at the top of the circuit. Not going to be good for him. Up next is going to be the second Aston Martin of Yes, it is actually. Doesn't improve, stays down in 18th. Up next is going to be a... Not actually sure, I can't keep up with this, too much stuff happening. Up next will be the Ferrari of Finnell. Moves up a bit to 4th, another 128.6. Mercedes of D765, no, Estrogen Impulse 129.062. Up next is going to be the Alpha Tauri in front. We're riding on board with Azzy and the Haas. This is their final shot from 8th all the way up to 2nd to 128.478 for her. Nothing in it up at the top between King and Azzy. These two are very quick drivers. So that is everybody over the line. There is your final starting grid for the Bahrain Grand Prix in the 2023 Summer Series. Azzy takes pole and only 9th... Oh no, King, sorry, takes pole and only 9,000th of a second. Azzy. That is going to be a front row to watch. Second place for Azzy, 9,000th of a second back behind King. Here is your starting grid for the Bahrain Grand Prix. King with a 128.467. Sorry, 11 thousandths of a second, not 9. I'm having a problem reading today, but as he lines up in second, D765 takes third place along with Harrison 2906 in fourth. Finnell will line up fifth with Rawson alongside in sixth place. OJ English will take seventh with Bly in eighth. Estrogen Impulse in ninth, and 10th goes to Simon Baker. The rest of the grid is as follows. Thunderbird takes 11th, sitting in reserve for Alpine. HP8 in 12th, Apex Miata in 13th, Curly in 14th, Eldorado 15th, WR Tristan in 16th, FE Pixels in 17th, 18th goes to Scarly 42, 19th to Saskia Mall, and without a lap, Borna Jordi is down in 20th place. Welcome back to the 2023 FVC Summer Series. We just had a very intensive qualifying session at the Bahrain circuit, and now we move on to the main event of the night. 20 cars will take the grid for this 29-lap shootout around the international circuit. King lines up in first place for the McLaren team, with Azzy only 11 thousandths of a second behind in second. The E765 from Mercedes team also lines up third, with the second McLaren of Harrison M down in fourth. It's a very, very competitive top few, with Finnell all the way up in fifth and Broughton in sixth. Qualifying was tight between all these drivers, and even all the way down the midfield there was barely any time difference between them. OJ English takes 7th place alongside Bly after 5169. Not a very good qualifying for him, not what he wants. Predicted pit stop strategy there at the bottom of the screen. There are 1 stop or a 2 stop, most predicted starting on mediums though. Estrogen Impulse will take 9th place for the start alongside Simon Baker 4067 in 10th. And believe it or not, that is only half of our grid tonight. All the way down 11th, sitting in reserve for the Alpine team in place of VNT Rosenquist, it's going to be Thunderbird with HP8 Gamer in 12th for the second Alfa Romeo. After a bit of an unfortunate qualifying, not getting the results he wanted, Apex is all the way down in 13th. Curly 7, after joining a bit late, is also down in 14th. Second Red Bull of Eldorado is down with 15th, with the second AlphaTauri beside of WR Tristan. The longest running teammates of FE Pixels and Saskia Mall are starting 17th and 19th, being split by the Alpine of Scarly 42, who unfortunately crashed out of qualifying. Very unlike her, but it's very far down. It's definitely going to be a near last to question mark challenge for her. Then, without setting a lap, the only driver not to do so is 20th Borna Jordi for the final Ferrari. Takes up the final slot. Again, lap times throughout the entire field have been very, very close. Definitely going to be an exciting one today if the racing is all clean. We do love a bit of clean racing here in the FVC. That's all we can ever hope for. Jumping up back to the front, these two titans of this season, as it's definitely shaping up to be. King up first, Azzy alongside, nothing between them in qualifying. I hope you're all ready for a very, very exciting race. Anything at all could happen here. Drivers taking up their grid bot, slowly moving forwards. Azzy perfectly up at the front of hers. King perfectly up the front of his. Harrison just missing it a little, and D75 gets into his as well. A little bit far back for the Mercedes compared to the other two, however, it does not matter. You are very close to anything up here. Two, three, four. The 5 red lights are on. You can see in the top left of the screen. The long hold of normal. It's lights out and away we go. It's a mediocre reaction for these two, but D75 getting a much better reaction than both of them. Also, it's Finnell getting a huge reaction. Already 2 wheels onto the grass for the Ferrari team. Cars coming together in the background. Can't quite see. They're all getting very closed up together into turn 1. Sorry for the faraway camera. We can't really do anything about it. Everyone's through clean, but there goes King round. King spun immediately. Azzy not getting a very good exit off of the corner. Heading up to the next corner. Harrison M's going to get a much better run than her. Jumping over to a replay, see that McLaren spinning around all the way down. Harrison M takes the lead with Broughton all the way up to 3rd. Finnell's falling down to 7th place. Not a stop for him. Harrison M taking the purple first sector, not surprised. All cars, though, making it through. But Harrison M spinning around now. Disaster for McLaren, starting 1st and 4th, falling all the way out of the point to the back of the grid. As he takes the lead again with Broughton chasing. It's a repeat of Australia now. Impulse making it up to 3rd with OJ 4th. Finnell climbs back up to 5th. HGA, a 5-second penalty for corner cutting, gained 1 place. Didn't give it back. Disastrous start for the McLaren duo. But definitely gaining the most out of that is going to be Azzy, not having to deal with any of her closest competitors this week. Jumping a bit down further field, already moving up place, it's going to be Scarlett all the way up into 11th, fighting for the final points paying position, starting on the soft compound tire, going to have to pit earlier than the rest of the grid. Fly after making a very ambitious move on D75, Scarlett taking the advantage of that. Azzy, first flying lap at 137.3. Heading into pit lane goes the Mercedes of D75. No DRS for the first 2 laps. Going to have to pure slipstream, meeting these McLarens if they keep their straight line speed that they had in Australia, which it definitely seems like they do. Harrison then making a huge drive up there. Going to be too wide against the second Alpine of Thunderbird, already making up the positions all through cleanly somehow. Scarlett already making her way up into the points up to starting 18th, a huge monumental drive, but again, soft compound tires means she will have to hit earlier than the rest. The gaggle of cars are still fighting behind. Blah having to defend ever so much from the AlphaTauri charging, but here still nearly too wide is going to be Harrison and Tristan having a fight with each other. Also behind there is King trying to get past HP of the second Alfa Romeo. Turn 10, you can have any car very easily spin around at this point. It's the slowest and lowest grip corner of any circuit track, or any corner on the circuit. There we go, my apologies. Also, somebody that's not a very good start is going to be Apex, falling down to 16th. Not the greatest qualifying, but even further, there's a yellow flag, sector 2, for someone swearing around. That's with the Ferrari of Bornajordi after making quite a charge up, spun round themselves. Down to 19th, disaster hitting, and there's an Alfa Romeo in the wall. HPH somehow getting away with it. Breaking a front wing's not going to be what he wants, but it's definitely the preferred outcome. That as he's seeing another fastest lap of a 132.447. Don't think we quite get that caught. We do see it. As he disconnecting now from the session though, 7/10 in hand, gonna have to get back in as quickly as she can. Things are thankfully slowing down quite a bit, so as that happens, let's remind ourselves of our previous race winners here. D765 currently running down in last place after an early pit stop. There's another car going around, that's an Aston Martin this time, of FV Pixels. But D75 winning the previous race here in Season 5, but the last time Summer Series ran, it was Apex taking the top step. Carbon and Azzy also both won a race here. Carbon, the only driver of the three to not be here tonight. Jumping up to the front, Broughton taking advantage of Azzy's disconnect, moving up into first place. Impulse is going to be charging up, trying to get anything he can on that AI-driven ass car. Let me see if I can get Azzy in, taking a quick break from this. Don't quite think I have her. I don't even think she has the game open. She's had a complete crash, I think. Possibly. Don't quite see her. Unless I missed her. If anyone did see her in the list there, please shout at me so I can get her in. Impulse up into second now. That Haas car is falling down the grid. I've been asked to get another car in. King now shading the fastest lap of the race at 132.4. Get another driver in again of Thunderbird. I don't think I have him added. You can still see somewhat of the action there in the background. Apologies for taking a quick break from the broadcast. I can't seem to get anyone else in from the looks of it. Somebody can relay the message for me to the driver's channel. I don't have the right people added, but there it's Impulse spinning out round, down all the way, running in the top three. Out and out of the points now. King getting past for 10th place. Harrison M getting past and even losing grip there. Azzy getting back the position with her AI car, but English now running in second. Finnell's going to be charging all the way down this final, or in this middle sector. Doing anything he can to get past that AI car. It is ghosted by the looks of it, so hopefully get past it easily. However, I'm not quite sure what the driver is going to be seeing. Looking for any cars close by. Indeed, we do see the Haas is ghosted there as the Ferrari goes through the middle of it. Jump on further down a bit where the action is a bit closer than the front of the field. Yellow sector 3, Harrison M spinning around out at the top of the circuit. Getting going again. That car is not out of the race yet. We've somehow went 5 laps with all 20 cars and not a single one went out yet. King, another fastest lap, 1:32.359 for the McLaren on the mediums. Definitely going to be making his charge up the grid shortly. As his AI is still trying to fight Finnell, House, and M. A 5-second penalty for speeding into pit lane. That's gone from bad to worse for the McLaren driver. Scarlett all the way up in 5th now, fighting with Dorado for the position. Off compound for her, making easy work getting around the mediums on that Red Bull. Sector 1 yellow flag that's going to be WR Tristan spun around at the top of the circuit. Thunderbird getting back into the session, joining his 13th place Alpine. Mid-pack here getting a bit of a DRS train all within a second of each other to get that rear wing open, but it is definitely, some cars are still faster than the other. That one of them being King in the McLaren. That car is extremely quick in a straight line, getting past Blaya Alfa Romeo with ease, it looked like. Running away at the front of the pack is going to be JL Broughton with English 2.2 seconds back, Finnell less than a second, but then it is a 2-second gap again to Azzy, and that place might just go to the way of the Alpine soon. Still trying to hunt her down. Now it's going to be Dorado's Red Bull. If there's anybody that wants to ride along with anybody in the chat, please let me know. I'll jump over to them at any point. All you need to do is send through a request to our live chat. Making a bit of a dive there is Eldorado against Azzy's AI. No contact though because of the ghosting. He continues his charge to try and catch up to the front. Possibly even trying to get a podium, and a double podium finish for Red Bull would be a very, very good thing for them. Yellow sector 1 for Bornas Ruddy again. The Ferrari spinning around up at the 4th corner. Hammering positions is that Haas car. Was leading, now all the way down in 8th. Nothing that Azzy can do about it though at this point in the race. Unsure if she's trying to get back in. I've not been able to invite her, not even on the line for me. Running out of road there, Simon Baker. Not want to do that too many times, you might get a penalty. Speaking of, moving the details over to penalty amount, we have Harrison M there, 5 seconds still yet to serve. HP8 seems to have served his on his stop. Here comes King, that supremely quick McLaren is just actually getting ran away from by the Williams. Simon having the entire top speed car this week compared to Australia where that McLaren was blitzing through the field. Here comes King again though, having looked down the inside, doesn't have enough room to make it work. Trying anything he can to get up into the top 6. Cars slowly spreading out around the field as well. However, this pack in the middle is the closest that it's going to get. Harrison M, a 132.1 soft combat tyre, the second McLaren, won't get a point for that all the way down in 19th. You got to be in the top 10 to get the extra points. A little bit wide around turn 10 there for King. Not what you want to be doing there. You're going to be losing time all the way down the straight if you're not careful and do it wrong. But he definitely got it right. Gaining time all the way against the Williams. Just not able to get alongside. Not able to make a move. Because the DRS for the car in front is also being pulled along by that Red Bull. Yellows in 2 for a slow moving car. I'm not sure if it was for the Ferrari or Aston of Jordi or Saskia. Moving up a little bit, it might not be long until we get a battle for second place. Finnell's Ferrari is slowly gaining down that Williams of English. DRS wide open for the first and second zones. Just not able to get enough of a run against that Williams to make anything of it. However, judging from it, that Williams might be struggling through the middle sectors. It's higher cornering required than the first and final ones, and that Williams seems to be running a low downforce setup, considering able to run away slightly in these straights compared to a DRS Ferrari. Ashley getting back into the session, down in 11th. It's not where she wants to be, but if anyone can make up all those positions in 20 laps, it is definitely her. Stops are still to come into play as well for this race, don't forget. Still the entire pit strategy to go. But things could start getting very exciting for us. She's going to be charging through the field again. Jumping down now, King going to be catching up to Sam Baker in that second Williams. Nearly even running into the back of it there. Four-way fight, they're all going to be getting DRS against each other. Scarlett heading into pit lane. Getting off of those soft compound tyres, lap 9 of 29. Long way to go for the end of the race, but she was on these softs to begin with. Might be the perfect time for her to go in. Leading that pack then is going to be the Red Bull of Dorado. He's going to be the one under pressure now from a Williams and a McLaren, plus another two behind, and even more through this big train. Race control says Saskia gets a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, running off the road most likely there. Drivers seeming to have a better time with track limits than out in Australia. Only 2 so far, and one of them I don't even think was for... In fact, no, Harrison Evans wasn't for a track limits violation. Scarlett coming out of pit lane in 15th place, getting ahead of the Ferrari of Jordi. Under pressure now for the second time in the DRS zone. Here comes King again, getting alongside Simon Baker. That's going to run him out of room. He's not going to be able to pull past that Red Bull unless he gets the car distance in front. He did not. They're going to be side by side heading out of the final sector, wheel banging each other. Not. Somehow neither of them losing it round. Very, very close. Very easy to get together there and spin it round. We've seen so from practices that weren't broadcasted, but it is a very risky move to do that. Just loses out a little bit. Literally no means you're going to be trying into the final corners again, pulling out to the inside, trying to scare him, doesn't work. Balls back into line around the final corners. Going to be another helping of DRS though for these two. Weaving goes Dorado, trying to break the slip. It doesn't matter. Look at the speed and the Williams getting past easily before turn 1. Going to be side by side though, and that higher cornering speed of the Red Bull could just come into play. They're going to be side by side still through turn 2. Dorado getting back ahead. King might have a look. There, gets a little bit unstable, has to back out of it. In fact, where's King gone? King spun round, I think. In fact, no, he didn't. He's only lost a place to the Alfa Romeo of Blah. Now going to be coming under pressure from the Atari of Curly. Heading out of pit lane now, Azzy taking a stop early. Unsure what tyre she's going to be on. We'll stay with this battle as long as we can. Moving down a little bit to the McLaren that's now fallen down to 7th place. Bahrain, of course, is not able to get anything on each other. Straight line speeds just not enough between some of them, and the cornering speed is too high for the others to keep up. As things calm down again, we have a Formula Companion app. All the results of everything there, as well as Driver of the Day voting. Get yourself signed up and into the league with the code there. Azzy Ardell disconnected from the session again. Not the best day for her. All the way down 14th, going to be dropping even further. AI falling now to 15th. Scarlett getting back ahead. Race control, Borna Jordi, 5-second penalty for speeding in pit lane. Pit lane seeming to be a harder thing than the track limits here for most drivers. Right, as I say, a 3-second penalty heads towards WR Tristan for a multiple warnings. Going to be track limits again for the AlphaTauri drivers. Not the best of days for him, running outside of the points, but not by much. One car in front of Thunderbird with the 3-second penalty. He's got to be able to catch up though. We'll depart this battle for just a second as we jump up to the battle for second. Still raging on between Finnell and English. Heading into pit lane though goes the Williams driver. Free helping of DRS there to the Ferrari driver all the way down the straight, completely unopposed. Heading back down now, it's going to be the battle for third is what this lot's going to be having, but it is still a pit rush to go. 5 of them in a line. Anything could happen as these lots try to head into pit lane. Simon having a look down the inside against the Red Bull of Dorado heading into turn 4, just nothing of it. That's going to leave himself wide open though to King, getting a much better run, having to go through the twisty middle sector. That McLaren might just not have enough to be able to keep up with the Williams. It does not. Having a worse run through the corners, heading through turn 8 now. To get a better exit than Williams won't want anything to happen. If he does, he gets a much better exit, but he's going to be on the outside, worst line. Just gets edged out by that Williams a little bit heading into the corner. You don't want to be going too wide there anyway. It's a very hard corner, even single file. McLaren driver just getting the better run constantly. He's going to be heading around the outside line. He's on the opposite side now, trying to force out. Goes very deep in the brakes, has to jump right back on them again. Simon Baker will be up into 4th. He's going to be staying there. These two will not let each other up. The more they battle though, the more that they're allowing anyone ahead to get away. They're wasting their chances of getting further up the field. Broughton into pit lane now himself. Finnell taking the lead. Also into pit lane there is going to be Simon Baker. As is the AlphaTauri of Curly behind. Lyap stays with this group. It's now going to be three-way battle for second. FV Pixels a multiple warnings penalty. There is a spun round. What looks to be an Alpine out of the final corner. That's going to be Thunderbird suffering. I have a thinking. Right. Sure. Thunderbird another 5-second penalty for speeding into pit lane. Thunderbird actually retiring from the race in pit lane. From bad to worse for the Alpine driver. It's not the debut he's going to want for the team. Young in sector 3 for that car. That car's coming back out of pit lane. Not what we want to see. Hopefully nobody comes into bother with that. The only car that could be is going to be the Ferrari of Jordi by the looks of it. However, hopefully he could have the way before they reach that point. Jumping up to the front again, it's going to be King against Dorado now. The Red Bull coming under pressure from the McLaren. The Alpine pulling off of turn 2, despawning as the Ferrari passes it. We're going to have no problems. Unfortunately, we will not have our 20 cars finish this race, but 20 cars still took the flag. We have not had a single crash DNF yet. Here comes King heading for the inside of turn 14. Dorado's going to have the outside line, but it's not going to matter much. Trying to keep it there, doesn't run out of space somehow, just about keeps it within the limits. But both of them are going to be heading into pit lane along with the Alfa Romeo behind. Going to allow Finnell to run away a bit more at the front. Still yet to do a stop though. Following along with Tristan, he's going to be the one to take the second place position, it looks like. Hard compound tyres for him, and I think he started on the hard compounds as well. I haven't watched him head into pit lane yet, but it's very possible I might have missed something. A little bit of locking up heading into the first corner, not what you want to be doing, hurting those tyres more than they already might be. The hard compound, while it may be made to last, it will have the worst grip at the end. WR Tristan, a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Just running out of road there with 6 seconds total now. Then we're down to the Alfa Romeo, choosing the hard compound tyre as well as the Williams of Simon in front. And also on the hard compound, they're going to be completely equal now. Fresh tyres, both for the same compound. The only difference between these two cars now is the setup and the driver. As he's saying in the driver chat that her fuse has blown twice and there is side pod and floor damage to that car. Gonna be damage control if she can get back in now. There's a huge train of cars trying to get anything for this position. King's just running away a little bit in the front. See the AlphaTauri though being pressured by Scarlett. Trying to make a move down the inside is the Alpine driver. Just about gets it done, moves ahead of the AlphaTauri. Cars are close, but things are calming down again. Anybody you want to see, you're right on board with, please let me know and I will head over to them. Otherwise we'll be focusing on this big multi-car battle. Or some people might be putting it more of a train at this point. Off the track though goes one of the Mercedes, would be D765, I can look at the one in the background. Not only is this a battle for a pretty decent point position of 5th, but it's also running all the way down outside of the points as well. This battle definitely being everything between a good points finish and no points at all, depending on where you come. Ever so slightly running into the back of the Red Bull in front. Doesn't unsettle it any, doesn't lose any of his front wing. Don't expect it to be many more laps before Finnell makes his stop, getting a request to head over to D765 from Revert in the chat. Just trailing this battle a little bit, fell off the road, a little bit falling back, but still trying to make his way up into the points. Definitely capable of it, considering he was the Season 5 Drivers' Champion. Alfa Romeo Blast slowly catching up to the back of that Red Bull. They'll be pulling alongside, will jump up to the front, falls just back into line. Finnell still pulling out a gap to the front. However, Blah trying to make a move, doesn't quite get it done. Dorado just moving back around, cutting back. Here comes Scarlett as well, pressuring up the back of these. They're all basically, if these cars had bumpers, they'd be completely bumper to bumper through that corner, but they don't. Trying to get as close to the car in front as they can without actually touching them. That's the way you get the best run. Finnell, a 5-second penalty for speeding into pit lane. That is not what he wants. He's got 22.5-second gap to the car behind. Yellows for one of the Alfa Romeos. That's going to be HP8. Spinning it through turn 10 from the seams of things. Easily the hardest corner on the track. Not a surprise. We've seen at least one driver drop it there. Also heading into pit lane looks to be Tristan. Right to take a guess. It's going to be very close up the front there. Finnell might just make it out of pit lane possibly. Going to be side by side heading to turn 1 alongside the Red Bull. Broughton having to go deep all the way around the outside. Gets it done. Finnell's going to have the fresher tyres though. Here comes up to English. Moving up into second place. Moving alongside the Ferrari. That higher top speed of the Williams is going to be everything down this straight. The rest is going to be wide open. Finnell doesn't get any of it. Was very close out of pit lane, but just falling down to 30. Doesn't have the fresher tyres, but that 5-second penalty is going to be detrimental come the end of the race. We're only halfway through as well. Apex getting a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Starting to slow in a bit more slowly for all the drivers, but it's nowhere near the level of Australia. Jumping off of this battle now as we see Scarlet and Blah trying to go side by side as well through turn 11. Somehow getting it done. There's still going to be 2 by 2 for turn 12. Scarlet just falling a little bit off the road as well, falling back behind the Alfa Romeo. Potentially going to have a better run down the straight though, depending on the straight line speed of the Alpine compared to the Alfa Romeo. Alpha just pulling out of the situation with the Red Bull, trying to defend the inside. Scarlet has a look, doesn't take it, falls back in line. Now it's all the exit, little bit too happy on the throttle there for the Alpine driver, just a little bit too much rotation. Saskia, another 15 and 34 multiple warnings. See Blah pulling over to the inside, trying to look for a way past Eldorado, doesn't make it happen. Scarlet running a little bit wide through turn 1. E765 chasing down the Alpine in front. Only 2 or 3 tenths of a second between them. We're also keeping an eye on the distance between the first and second cars. Only 7 tenths there. This keeps up, we could see a battle for the win come the end of the race between these two there. Neither of them are carrying a penalty yet. And both of them are both race winners and very quick drivers. Until they get a little bit closer, we're going to be staying down here. The battle for 8th. And if you include a couple of positions, the battle for 6th even, as it's turning out to be. I don't think Scarlet got a particularly good exit coming out of the top of the circuit. Turn 13 is another hairpin, but it is a very, very long one compared to the rest of them on this circuit. Back up again. Here goes Blyaf the Alfa Romeo, actually making the move work this time. Going to be around the outside for Eldorado. Can he replicate what Broughton did? No, he cannot. It doesn't keep it around the outside. Sticks it for turn 2 though. They're going to be side by side again, heading up to turn 4. The Alfa Romeo just a little bit faster in a straight line, but here comes that Red Bull's extra helping. DRS are going to be 3 wide into the corner with Scarlet making a late appearance. Using a bit spinning round across the front of the Alfa Romeo goes the Red Bull of Dorado, falling outside down to 10th, might even fall out of the points depending on the cars behind. Blah not coming up particularly great from that either. Losing the position to Curly, that puts Scarlet up to 6th, D765 down into 7th. Might potentially see a penalty there. Apex having a problem of his own in the middle sector. Potentially might see an inquiry made about that. 3 wide into a single corner, still 3 wide through the exit of it. But the train of 5 quickly falls into a train of 4. Distance at the front of the field staying steady, about 0.6 of a second. Fennell catching up slowly, only a second back from the Williams. Setting a fastest lap does Fennell at 1:31.996, the first into the 31s this race. Here comes D765, having a look down the inside into turn 1. Making it work, Scarlet sticks it around the outside, gets the inside line for turn 2 and a slightly better angle for 3. D765 is going to have a second helping of DRS though, all the way down straight up until turn 4, just not enough to make it happen. Doesn't do the ambitious dive that Scarlet did to make it 3 wide the previous lap. Alpine also gets a better run out of the corner. Alpine just seems to have the higher corner speed compared to the Mercedes. However, the straight line speed around this circuit is definitely nothing to be laughed at. If anyone is able to hear me, that is also in the race. As he is awaiting another invite, I don't think I can do it. I'll have another quick check. I didn't see her in my list the previous few times though. though I am quite unsure on what her name is, or if I even have her. Again, if you see somebody that needs an invite that I didn't, please tell me in the chat and I will get to fixing it. Fennel on 131.830 now. But King immediately usurps it with a 131.630. King making a charge, trying to get close as he can to this group. Someone also getting up close to the front though is Fennel, now down to only half a second, 4/10 of a second. The better advantage of the tyres is definitely paying off for the Ferrari driver. English just falling a little bit too far away from that. Position changes for D75 and Scarlett again. Switchback occurring. Sorry, we didn't catch that. Jumping up to the front, see what's happening. Here comes D75 and Mercedes again. Trying to make it too wide into the turn 4. As the better inside line. Just doesn't have the exit to get with the Alpine. Falling off the road, there goes the Alfa Romeo of Blah as well. Trying desperately to keep up behind. Probably got a warning for that, no penalty coming that car's way yet. It all just dropping a little bit as well away from that top group. Off the track goes D765 over the white line. King a 131.596 for the McLaren driver. Getting very close up at the front though. Fennel making a move, or at least trying to against OJ, just not enough in it. The Ferrari driver. Not the greatest exit out of turn 1 heading to 2. Might get a better run through up to 4 though. Moving further down again to the closest 3 on track of Scarlett, D765 and Curly. AlphaTauri getting very close to the back of that Mercedes there, possibly a little bit late on the brakes. Thankfully no contact coming of it. Gaps are slowly starting to spread out as well. As Fennel continues to pressure OJ for a second, Broughton is able to start running away up at the top of the field. You gotta be careful though, as King is slowly catching up to the back of that group. The fight for second place is going to be well and truly on. Fennel might be carrying that penalty, but King is nothing as well that you should dismiss. In fact, going for a very ambitious dive into turn 1 against the Ferrari of Fennel. Fennel getting a little bit of a better exit out of turn 1, possibly even up to turn 2. King's going to have that second helping of DRS, as is Fennel from the car in front. Fennel actually just letting off a little bit for the corner. Dropping back a bit more from the cars in front. Heading on back again to this group. Not actually quite sure what's happened. D765 heading into pit lane again. Sector 2 yellow. That's one of the Red Bulls of Broughton. Broughton spin it around. Very commanding lead, spinning it and falling down to 4th. Again, nobody wants 3-second penalty heading Curly's way for multiple warnings. That now leads the battle for the win. Is going to be between OJ and King. Unless that Red Bull can do anything to catch up, or Fennel can somehow find a 5-second gap to these cars, this is going to be the battle for the win between these two up the front. Closest group of cars on the track. WR Tristan is catching up to the back of Dorado, however carrying a 6-second penalty isn't going to do him much good in the long run. Heading into the final 5 laps of the race, we'll take a look at the standings. As he leads with the 25 points over Scarlett's 18, however, running outside of the points now is going to be down in 13th as Azzy, meaning Scarlett will likely take the lead of the championship as she is running 6th. 8th is Blah, who's finished 3rd in the previous race, but King is the most likely to score the most points, heading up to 30. If he finishes in the position now, but if he wins, he will also likely be taking the lead of the championship himself. Yellow Sector 1 for a spun round AlphaTauri, that's going to be Tristan. On his run to try and catch up to the Red Bull in front, doesn't do him any service. The rest of the McLaren trying to help him catch up. Doesn't seem to have the same cornering ability. Finnell, another 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, adding his total to 8 now. He's more than likely out of the running for the win. He needs to be getting over a second lap faster than each group, and he is not. He is just dropping time. D75 is closing on Tristan, however, again, there is a 6-second penalty for that AlphaTauri car. Here comes King, starting with the DRS open, slight bit of contact to get to the rear of that Williams. Going to be in front by turn 1, not even a challenge really. Going to get that second helping as well, most likely. No, the detection zone actually going to be in favour of English. Does the Williams have anything in it to try and catch up with McLaren before turn 4? It does not. Yellow flag, sector 3 for a Alfa Romeo. That's going to be HP8 again, falling down to 18th. It's a very poor showing for him, especially after he won the opening race in Season 5. 1:31.406 for D75, setting the fastest lap again. Already a 5-second penalty for speeding into pit lane. That is 10 seconds for him now. King already pulling out a 6/10 of a second gap. There is nothing OJ can do. I forget I have the standings on screen, my apologies. Passing them all, a 3-second penalty for corner cutting, adding a total to 9 seconds. The race is coming to a close not long from now. Cars spacing out again, half a second seems to be the closest gap, but penalties definitely coming into it. Impulse is catching up to Azzy. I don't think that car is out of AI mode yet though, because Azzy has not been able to get back into the session. Three-second penalty for multiple warnings goes to OJ, that is King's way. We have a yellow flag in sector 2 for a spun round McLaren of Harrison M, down in 15th. Impulse getting past the AI of Azzy. Another 3-second penalty for multiple warnings heading to Saskia. 12 seconds for her now. Aston Martin off the road. I'd take a wild guess that is Saskia indeed. There might be damage to that car. Disqualified from session for the wrong way as Pixels retires as well for a crash. And there's a safety car deployed, lap 26 of 29. Disaster for Aston Martin near the end of this race, but this could just change everything heading into the end. Heading down to Harrison M, choosing not to go into pit lane, but HP it does actually. Harrison M also chooses a very late commitment heading over the pit lane entry lines. Orange already on the soft compound tire. I don't expect him to head in. There is no need for him to. And indeed he does not. I expect to see a very big pit rush though, as the drivers choose to go onto soft compound tires for the rest of this race. You'd really be unwise not to at this point, this close to the end. But staying out, actually, King. Heading into pit lane though goes English, who's going to serve a 3-second penalty. Finnell also staying out on the hard compound tires. Broughton is staying out too for the hard compound, just choosing to go through to the end. They're thinking this race will finish under safety car. However, at this point, OJ just has to try anything he can to claw this win back. Still carrying that 3-second penalty, but onto the soft compound tyre, he definitely can get the pace up to win. However, needs to pull out a big gap up to the front. The ending stages of this race, Aston Martin completely changing it unintentionally. One car disqualified, another car DNF. Already a number of cars have caught up. Awaiting any call from race control, waiting to see if this race finishes under safety car. And it will not. Safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. 27 of 29. It's going to be a 2-lap shootout for the win. King leading the race in the hard compound tyres. JL Broughton's going to be the next one up unless Finnell can somehow find an 8-second gap. All these cars here are on the hard compound tyres except for one, and it is that Williams right there. 3-second penalty in hand, but starting 7th. There's also Scarlett behind, no penalty, and D765 are also on the softs. 6 cars in front on hards, 2 laps to do it all. Finnell jumping into the lead for a bit. King taking it again. The race is green flagged again, running it to turn 1. Finnell got a horrible start. Broughton getting a much better one than he does. King already 3/10 in hand. There could be action behind now as cars do as much as they can to dive it. Already making huge moves up there is going to be English all the way up into 5th already. Scarlett and D75 not getting as much of a luck as the Williams driver did. But spinning round, pushed round even, goes OJ English to promote the Scarlett, or the Alpine of Scarlett up the track. Sixth place for her. She is in the ideal place to win this race now. Lap 28 of 29. All the cars in front are on hards, but a 5-second penalty for corner cutting and gaining a place, immediately ruining those chances. Trying your best to have any way around. Trying around the outside of turn 10. That's a very ambitious move, but somehow making it stick. Up into 4th goes the Alpine, but those cars in front, as well as the cars behind without carrying a penalty, are going to be getting ahead of her. King has made an absolute monster of the restart, getting already a 1.6-second gap over Broughton in 2nd. Off goes Finnell, running out of room, not enough grip to keep that Ferrari on the road. The 765 on the soft compound tyre should be doing a lot better than this. Doesn't get any of the restart magic though that the other 2 cars got. It's the only one of those soft compound runners to not be having a penalty. He's got one final lap around the Bahrain circuit. .8 seconds for the McLaren in front. Finnell a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, upping his total to 11 seconds. Impulse a 130.114, fastest lap. Dorado getting ahead of Tristan, but Tristan carrying a 6-second penalty. D765 making moves up to 7th for him. Next car he's going to be challenging is going to be the Alfa Romeo of Blan. Indeed, he does get ahead of it, but still battling these two. Going to be another move around the outside of turn 10 for this Mercedes driver. Doesn't get it done. Switches back to the inside. Very ambitious. Has to cut the corner to try and have any room. Duke's still going to be side by side. Heading into the final corners of the middle sector. Just not enough exit corner grip from the Mercedes compared to the Alfa Romeo. Moving up to 3rd though on track goes Scarlett ahead of the Ferrari of Finnell. 5-second penalty in hand though will not be letting her finish there. It might get ahead of Broughton on track by the end of this lap. Coming around the final corner, Scarlett's ahead. Broughton falls off the road. Doesn't get any penalty for it though. King will win the race. DRS enabled. It does not matter at the end of the lap. Scarlett will finish second on track, but Broughton will take second on standings. Sam moves up to third. Lau will take fourth, and D765 just misses in fifth place. Scarlett will end up finishing sixth. Curly in seventh. Binnell down in eighth. OG English in ninth, and the final point swaying position will go to Dorado in 10th. Azzy will finish 11th, or her AI will, as Tristan's 6-second penalty takes them down to 12th. Apex all the way down in 13th. 14th will go to Estrogen Impulse. And 15th heads to the second McLaren, the other end of the circuit, not the day he is going to be wanting. Arsen will take the flag in 15th. HB8 in 16th, and Borna Jordi 20 seconds later will be in 17th. By my calculations, I am pretty sure King will take the lead of the championship. Standings after round 1 are as follows again. Azzy with the 25-point lead, King down with 12 points, but this win is going to give him a huge amount of points upwards. Driver of the day given by the game is to Scarly42, but remember we have the Formula Companion app. Enter that code, get yourself signed up, and vote for who you think is most deserving of Driver of the Day. Invite code 1UAP4600VWC. A chaotic race of 20 cars, a very close qualifying preceded it. Your winner of the Bahrain Grand Prix for the 2023 FVC Summer Series is none other than King 1995. Second place, heading to the Red Bull of Broughton, and third goes to Williams with Sam Baker. The start was chaotic, the middle section got a little bit low, but what an end that was. Safety car coming in, lap 27 of 29, 2 laps of green flag racing at the end. Definitely a completely changed end from the Aston Martins. After 29 laps, 46 minutes of racing, King 1995 will take the win for McLaren. Second place goes to Broughton, and third is Sam Baker, completing the podium from 10th up to 1st. Lyamp for 4169 misses the podium again, finishing in 4th place. D765 in 5th, and Scarly42 in 6th. Curly7 will finish 7th, Fiddle in 8th, OJ English in 9th, and Dorado taking the final point down in 10th. Azzy Ardale, after a very unfortunate disconnect twice, will finish in 11th. 12th goes to WR Tristan, 13th to Apex, 14th to Impulse, 15th to Harrison M, 16th to HP8, and 17th to Borna Jordi. Your DNFs are 18th for Pixels, 19th for Thunderbird, and a disqualification for the second Aston Martin of Saskia, who